Maureen Fiedler, who is here. She's with the Sisters of Loretto in Kentucky. She lives in this area, and she's going to address those issues for us.
Hi. I will be brief. I'm going to tell you a couple stories to just let you know that some level of success is possible. At our mother house, which is in Marion County, Kentucky, it's about an hour south of Louisville. I always tell people, ask me where it is, it's about midway between Jim Beam and Maker's Mark. Okay. And they ought to be concerned about this too, because their bourbon is good, because the water is good there. But anyway, earlier this year, we were approached by somebody from the Williams Company who wanted to run something called the Bluegrass Pipeline through our property. We have about 780 acres of property, a lot of it for agriculture or forest. And they wanted to run the pipeline through. Of course, they were willing to pay. They approached the wrong person, one of our strongest environmentalists in the community. So it took all of about 20 minutes to tell them to forget it. And when we inquired what would come through the Bluegrass Pipeline is the residue of fracking done in Pennsylvania and Ohio. And it would come at high pressure in this Bluegrass Pipeline. And of course there are dangers of spills, there's danger to the water supply, there's danger to the local agriculture, etc. So we said no. Well, of course they didn't want to take no for an answer right away, at least. So we began organizing in rural Kentucky, which is not your bastion of liberal whatever, you know. But there are some other religious communities in the area. They all said no as well, including the monks at Gethsemane Monastery. You may have heard of that. If you haven't, they sell the best bourbon fudge in the world. Anyway, but everybody in the area said no. And after a number of demonstrations and organizing meetings, the Williams Company has finally told us they're not going to put it through our property or even ask us again. We've caused a lot of publicity and a lot of negative publicity for them in the whole Louisville area. And but when they said that to us, our first question is, well, what about our neighbors? It's not just us, it's everybody in the area. So we have continued to organize. Right now the Bluegrass Pipeline is at something of a standstill in Kentucky because a lot of property owners have said no. And we've gone to church suppers and county fairs and every place we can think of, developed materials on this. And a lot of people have become organized against it. And now there are questions that they're trying to challenge rights of eminent domain. In other words, can they put the pipeline through just by declaring that there's a public right to it? Of course, it's a privately owned pipeline. Where they get that, I don't know. But anyway, we've taken that to the state legislature and the governor and organized people around that. So I guess right now it's certainly not safe to say that that pipeline will never go anywhere or will never go through, but at least we've delayed it for quite some time. And the second story I want to tell you is one that I found incredibly inspiring. I just got back from a week in Guatemala. Many of you know I'm a radio host. I was there doing interviews for the radio show I do, Interfaith Voices. But one of the trips that I made was to a place called La Puya in Guatemala, where this group of campesinos is protesting a gold mine. And why are they protesting the gold mine? Well, probably any gold that's easy to get has been taken out of it. And there are some chemicals stacked nearby. And the fear is that they will be used to mine the gold. This is an agricultural area. These folks are farmers. It would pollute the water supply. It's the same thing as we're talking about here. And it would threaten their whole way of life. So, I mean, I was so heartened by seeing these people, poor people, camped on either side of a rural road for 2 years. They take turns coming from what are their little shacks, coming there 24 hours a day, taking turns. And what have they done confronting even the military of that country, which has a real reputation for repression, you may know that. They put their bodies in the middle of the road to keep the mining equipment from going through. And they've done this successfully more than once. Right now the mine is shut down. I asked several people what the future is, nobody knows, but at least one human rights worker told me that the company, it's an American company by the way, surprise, surprise, but that they might decide it isn't worth further investment. It's very possible that this might achieve something for the campesinos in that area. But anyway, I thought these are both hopeful stories. You know, protest and so forth really can work. And I was most moved by seeing these folks in Guatemala who understand at a very basic level that the earth is sacred. You know, it's so much not just a part of all of our religious traditions, but the ancient Mayan religious tradition, the Native American traditions of Guatemala too. And they were there defending that as well. So I was truly heartened and I wanted to share that with you. Thank you.